This is going to be a series about a book I bought by the famous Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh, and it's on the subject of anger. So I thought this particular video is going to be on the introduction of the book, and then chapter 1. And I'm going to go through each chapter, do a little video summary of it, and hopefully it will give you some interest in buying the book or getting more information on it or looking up issues on anger for yourself. I think anger is probably one of the biggest problems in the world today. It's all over our social media. Even you go to any news website, scroll down to the comments section on any article, and you will see anger. I myself have a problem with anger, and it's really been difficult for me at points in my life to get past it. I think driving in Los Angeles or any metropolitan city really pushes one's anger level, and for me, there was a time when I overcame anger, and I'll get into that at the end of this series. And it's something that has to be done on a regular basis, not something that we do once in a while or we did it once. It's a continual effort to keep anger at bay, because anger is something that I think lives in all of us, and or at least most of us. And it constantly starts to come up. So let's talk about chapter 1 of Thich Nhat Hanh's book, Anger. Chapter 1 discusses something a little more odd to the Western mind, and that is the role of diet. So this is something that's difficult for me as well. Paramhansa Yogananda, the Hindu guru from the 1950s, he also spoke on the same subject, and his teaching was the same, and that is that eating meat and makes one more aggressive. He pointed out very aggressive nations and how that they are heavy meat eaters, which, you know, I don't know if correlation is causation, but that he also had a philosophy that the emotions of the animal at the time it's being killed and produced as meat embodies the meat itself. And so as you ingest it, you ingest the fear and the anger and all that anxiety. It seemed a little far-fetched to me. I have tried vegetarian diets before, and I can last 3 months at most, and I start to fall, and my health goes down because I end up eating really poor foods. But it's something that a lot of spiritual teachers do believe in, and that is that anger somehow can be triggered by your diet. So, looking more into that, in the School of Metaphysics, the University of Metaphysics, Dr. Masters says something that I actually agree with. I agree with probably everything he says, but this is very important, and I believed in this before I even heard him say it. I came to this conclusion myself, and that is that a vegetarian diet really depletes you of your energy, and you don't have as much energy, and as you have less energy, you have less anxiety, and so your anger level is naturally going to be less because you just don't have the energy to be angry. That's what I experienced when I was a vegetarian back in 2004. But it's not the case for everybody. I've known very angry vegetarians. But I think in general, it does lower your energy level because you don't have that 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 source of protein that's powering you. Just like if you drink too much coffee, you get agitated, you get more agitated, it's the same idea. So I know that these spiritual teachers are probably right about anger and energy and meat being a causation of anger, but it's just something I don't think I can cut out of my diet. It's something it's too challenging for me. But continuing on, there is some other things that I can do and I think are important for everyone. So if you can cut the meat out, according to many teachers like Thich Nhat Hanh and Paramhansa Yogananda, you would lower your anger levels. That's their belief. But he goes on to say it's not just what you ingest by mouth, it's also what you ingest with your eyes, meaning what do you see? What do you pay attention to? Do you watch television shows that make you angry? Do you watch news that makes you upset? This, in my opinion, is a true causation of anger because I can see it. The whole aspect of eating meat, I don't see that directly, but I can directly see in me and in others people getting angry watching media. It happens so often. I can see it with my parents. They'll sit and watch Fox News all day, and I'll come in the room and they're just hostile. Not at me, but they're hostile at the world. Oh, these terrible things that are happening because the news they're watching is provoking this anger. I think that's the case with many forms of the media, is that they make money getting you agitated because you'll keep watching and you'll get incited and you'll want to say something and you'll go on their website and comment. And that whole thing just ties us into the media and it gets us angry, gets us agitated. News does that. Even if they're not trying to upset us, news is upsetting. You read about the terrible things people do to each other, especially to children, and we get angry. So that's one thing. Also, television shows. I have to admit, I really love the TV show The Strain, and it is a horror film, and I can feel it in me as I get anxiety over watching it. I may not get angry, but I get this anxiety. And when while I'm really engrossed in the TV show and there's something terribly scary going on, and somebody comes in the room, it brings up this anxiety with me, and if I don't watch it, I can project it out onto my wife or to my son or to other people. And so that's another thing, not only what we ingest by mouth, but what do we ingest by eyes? And also, what do we ingest by ears, our other sense? Do we sit and listen to conversations that upset us? Gossip, talking about how something is unfair at work and getting into those conversations, or something is unfair in your personal life and getting into those conversations, bringing up the anger again. So imagine if you cut out what you hear, all those negative conversations, and you cut out what you see, where it builds anger in your body. Wow, you would probably eliminate most of your anger. So that's the bulk of chapter 1, but Thich Nhat Hanh ends it by going back to the diet issue and whether or not you choose to eat meat. He does have one suggestion that's really pretty good, and that is mindfulness with your eating. Because one aspect of anger is overeating, and I believe him on that. I overeat, and when I overeat, I can feel the tension in my body, the anxiety, and tension just builds up. It's like there's more stress because I've eaten way too much. So mindful eating is a form of putting your attention on the act of eating, not just consuming, Instead, as you're taking a bite, you are mindful of the taste, the bite, the texture, the chewing process. It's going to sound gross, but he even mentions the liquefaction of the food in your mouth. And that whole process as you chew and chew and chew, and he recommends chewing at least 50 times each bite. So as you just chew this food and you're mindful of it and mindful that you're pulling the nutrition out of it, you will probably eat less. That's what he says. And it's probably true. I'm going to give it a try. I encourage you to do the same. There's nothing wrong with being mindful. Mindful is meditation. And so this is a form of meditation. And it's great because you're putting your meditation into your daily life, where you're being mindful of what you're eating. And that doesn't mean acknowledging that you're eating a good, healthy meal, but you're being mindful of each bite and every chewing action that you're doing. So that covers chapter 1. For me, I don't think I can do the vegetarian diet. I might try it at some point in the future again, but I am going to try mindful eating, and I'm going to watch what I'm watching and listening to, and removing those elements in my life that are contributing to stress, anxiety, and anger, which means cutting out news, cutting out a lot of television, and just focusing on positive media, which isn't much, but if I've got to see it, it should be positive. So I encourage you to do the same thing this week, and let's see how it goes.